G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Hit Show, taking over the internet. You and me are Rocco. Jumper Punch, episode 6 now, is it?
This is 6, yes, it is 6. We're moving ahead, aren't we? Number 6, it's amazing, yes. So happy about that, and welcome everyone. It's a Sunday morning, had a big night last night, so we're going to try to get through this one.
So Rocco's a little bit worse for wear. I like it.
Always ready, bud. Always ready to go.
Right, but that's the main thing. You can only be born ready, as they say.
That's it.
We've had quite a hectic week in the Cowton AFL fraternity. Obviously, a lot's gone on. Cruiser back at the club as Ruck coach. We've also got Cade Simpson there working with the girls, and it's been announced he's also going to be working with the VFL side and a little bits and pieces with the defence. So I suppose we should start off with legends of the club, and we'll encompass last week's episode as well with Wayne Harms. But let's talk about Cade and Cruiser. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's good. Like, it was a no-brainer, really. Cruiser had to come back as ruck coach, didn't he? He had to come back as a ruck coach. I mean, really, at his best, he was one of the best in the competition, and he knows his craft, man. He's not just a simple tap ruckman, you know what I mean? He's not just a simple big bully that runs around. Man, he used to do everything, didn't he? He was a good tap. A tap ruck, you know. He was good around the ground. He knew where to go, and he could take a mark, and he could definitely kick a goal, you know. And we remember some of those famous goals he's kicked that absolutely got us rocking and rolling. So his was a no-brainer, because with TDK, I don't know, man, he's like very similar to me to Cruiser, and I think that's the perfect thing, getting Cruiser up there and just teaching him the craft, and having Cruiser. Imagine having Cruiser around as TDK. I reckon that's going to elevate him, you know, real quickly into our number one ruckman, yeah?
Well, I mean, it's something TDK said himself. He said it last year, the interview we did with Terry as well. He also touched on it, that Cruiser's like a big brother to him, always there, available to give advice, constantly reinforcing lessons, and giving it tips and little tidbits on how to win in matchups. And I think if you think about Cruiser, whether you rate him or you don't, I know a lot of Cowton fans recently have come out and said they didn't rate him. All the top ruckmen have all said Cruiser has been a difficult matchup for them. And TDK is going to be fighting these guys week on, week out. So that knowledge is invaluable to TDK. The fact it's someone who's just finished playing. So he knows how to beat your Nick Nats. He knows how to beat your Brody Grundys. He knows how to go up against Gorn. Exactly. Them little 1%ers that he can pass on to TDK could be the difference between winning and losing a matchup.
Exactly, man. As I said, man, that was a no-brainer. You get Cruiser back in there, and he's loved. I don't know who these Carlton supporters say they didn't rate him. The only reason Cruiser wasn't elevated to the next level was because of his injuries. Let's be serious, man. At his best, mate, I don't know. It's funny, like sometimes people just forget how good players were once they retire, you know what I mean? Or maybe near the end of their career, they just kind of like, they just go down a little bit because they're getting old or something, and we forget how good, at his best, man. Cruiser was, he was talked about as one of the best ruckmen going around at an early age. So injuries, poor bloke, man. He had a bad rap for that, but to me, man, he's the perfect man, the perfect fit for TDK. I reckon he's going to elevate TDK real quick. I reckon within a year or so, you're going to see, they're going to be talking about TDK like they talk about now these, well, I was going to say Grundy and that. He's really good next level, but English and those kind of ruckmen going around. And I'm telling you, if you talk about TDK, I think is one of our most important players next year, man. If he elevates 20%, man, I'm telling you, we're top 4 guarantee, man. He's like that missing link between back and forth, you know, like really important addition to our coaching panel, yeah, for sure.
Oh, I think as well, you look at the modern day ruckman, Tim English is a great example. They spread the play. Grundy's kind of started that kind of evolution of ruckman, that they're starting to become the extra midfielder. You see, like, Grundy invariably gets the 18, 20, 25 touches. And it's an extra asset. And you see that TDK was starting to show them signs of winning his own ball, looking to feed the handball as opposed to just kicking it forward, which is very Grundy-esque. And I think moving forward, that should be the benchmark. He's athletic, he's agile, he's very talented below his knees as well. So I think moving forward with that Cruiser help as well of how to work, because that's something I think Cruiser did well. He was very good at working opposition ruckmen around the ground, making them run, making them come with him. And I think TDK is always going to have that edge over these bigger-bodied ruckmen. And Pitternet as well is no slouch as well. I think Pitternet shows that he's a very good ruckman in himself as well. One of the leading comps in hit-outs to advantage as well. So something we forget about Mark, he's done a good job throughout his career for us so far.
Yeah, 100%. And talking about Pitternet, that could almost be the recruit of the year for us last year. If you think about it, I mean, we got Martin. Yeah, he was a gun without question, you know, but Pitternet, like Cruiser went down and he was so valuable and he come in and I think, was it the Melbourne game? He got beaten in the first half, was it? Was it the first half? But then he came
quarter, he was getting absolutely
first quarter, and then he just come back and he just, I think he won the next 3 quarters, and then from then on he hadn't looked back. So he's definitely one of the big recruits this year for us, man. And now that Cruiser's gone, you know, like how important is Pitternet now alongside, you know, TDK? Because we can't expect TDK to come in and just be the number one ruckman. He's still a junior, you know what I mean? So Pitternet's going to be great, you know, alongside him, yeah.
Oh, and I think as well, the versatility that TDK shows, the fact that he does like to go forward and rest in the forward line, means moving forward with some of these matchups. And we see West Coast, they rode to the finals a couple of years ago with the tactics, and they also won the flag by using them dual ruckman, them offsetting ruckman. And I think that that's probably a tactic that Teague may employ this year as well, having the bigger-bodied Pitternet, mixing him up with TDK, the sly, athletic ruckman, creating these ruck disadvantages, which we see in the IFL. So moving ahead, we're in a real strong position in our ruck department as well, age-wise as well. They're that perfect age.
Exactly. And then we got Simpson, eh? That was a no-brainer too, putting Simpson... bringing him back. Of course you're going to bring him back, man. Where are you going to get that sort of experience, you know what I mean? And so it's going to be great for the women, let's face it. But now, as you said, there's news that he's going to be helping the VFL. And then, of course, he's going to come in and help our senior side, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's just going to come in and do what he's been doing every day and giving his little tidbits and just being around the club. Just being around the club, I think, is a huge asset for us.
I think it's continuity as well, isn't it, for the boys? It's not a big shock to the system. I mean, obviously, when someone 300 games leaves a big hole, doesn't it? Leaves a big void. And I think him passing on his knowledge, especially to someone like SPS, and I think it's easier to pass your knowledge on when you're not playing. I think that you kind of then focused on one thing. I think that's really going to help SPS. We've heard from Amos that he is going to be a backman. He will stay a backman. So I think for someone like SPS, who has similar skill sets to Cade Simpson, I think moving forward, it's going to be really good for his career development as well.
That's a good point with SBS, because he's this player that's he's been, you know, like you know, the emotions have been divided between the Carlton supporters with SBS. It's either you love him and you think that he's going to do, or he's no good, let's get rid of him, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm in the first part, man. I think SBS is going to be good. I heard this week with that they're going to be playing him in defence and that. I don't know what's going on there. I reckon I don't know. To me, he's got to be tried out in the middle. I mean, how many defenders are we going to have next year? I don't get it. Like, if you noticed, everyone's playing in defence next year. Kemp is playing defence. SBS is playing defence. Williams is going to go in defence when we need him. Like, what's going on? Are we expecting this avalanche of bloody players coming through there trying to kick goals? Like, I don't get it.
Well, I mean, it was Clarkson who said that flags are won from the back, so maybe Carlton are trying to play 18 backmen.
Yeah, but we've got a fairly good 6 or 7 already, you know, that I think are going to be playing there constantly. I don't know how many more. To me, I don't know. To me, SBS has got to be, I don't care, next year, he's just got to be thrown in and played along that wing centre. They say he delivers the ball good, and I agree. I reckon he's a great deliverer. So why can't he be delivering it straight to Curno's chest every single time? You know what I mean? To me, SBS should be playing. We got off topic there. Playing along the wing, forward of the centre, man. I'm telling you. But
I think it's a good conversation to have, though. I do think you're right. I think most of us see SBS as a mid. I mean, my answer to that is I think Teague loves versatility. I think it's something we hear him talk about. And the top teams seem to heavily rotate their midfielders, which allows them to stay energetic. We know that SPS seems to play his best football in the midfield. There obviously is something, though, I can't help feel the coaches keep nailing SPS as a defender. And there has to be something we're not quite seeing yet, and that he's exploiting in training. And you see it in patches. I do think, though, that when Amos said the luxury of SPS is he can go up forward, he can go into the midfield and give you 5-10 minutes. I think that's the message, that he's going to start on the bench. He's going to be that impact player. They'll play him 10 minutes in defence, 5 minutes in the midfield, and he'll start to influence. And I think we've Saad there now taking a lot of the pressure and the zip off halfback. Another year into Doc, because Doc's technically a second-year player now. We've got 100%. To look at it that way. It's going to be another good year from him. I'm confident, but I see what you're saying. I do feel like you look at our list, there's a lot of outside midfielders and then a lot of defenders. It's like we have a lot of the same type of player.
And this is the problem. Like, I don't get it. Like, now that we got Saad in there, like, he's taken, and you got Williams, I think, Williamson last year, I think, elevated to what we expect. So put him, another year under his belt. You got Doc, you got Plowman. Marchbank's still got to come back, like where we're going to play Marchbank, you know what I mean, if he's fully fit, So, and then we keep talking about SBS. I don't know. I don't think he fits that. I don't know. Are they wanting to make him into, like, remember McLeod from Adelaide, that kind of running halfback that breaks those lines? What we got now, we got that with Saad now. So I don't know. To me, we'll see. I trust in the coaching panel what they're going to do. You know what I mean? But to me, man, he's been there like 4 years. Has he been great in defence?
He's definitely not been great.
So what are we doing? Put him.
Great's a big word.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. And I know he's only had that 1 or 2 games in the midfield. He had that one against the Doggies where he had 35 possessions and that, But I don't know. To me, just keep playing him there, man, and see what he does, man, because he's skillful. He's skillful, and he's probably one of our best deliverers once he gets the ball. Have you noticed he's calm? Like, when he does get the ball, I think he's very calm, and he picks out his targets. He normally hits them. I don't know what his percentage is, but he's very calm. To me, that's perfectly along the centre, running forward. So anyway, we'll see. Look, it's a good problem to have, just quietly.
Well, I mean, the big talk is Tom Williamson's evidently moving up to midfield. So I mean, I think that might be the thing. I saw him against Collingwood in the pre-season. He snagged an absolute perler from about 55, just outside the arc. He's got that big booming kick. And I think SPS and Williamson are kind of Teague players. He likes to play direct, likes to be quick. It's very kick heavy. Both of them possess good ability at hitting targets. Williamson's got the dynamite boo in him, and SPS has got the vision and the ability to dissect traffic with a kick. So that is where I think that is where it's going. I'm hoping I'm right, but I agree with you. I'd like to see when SPS's time is done, he's a full-time mid. He's not a backman, but
he's got that skill. But anyway, look, as I said, it's a good problem to have. If we're talking about where to play these players, like last year, maybe the year before, we didn't know. Well, we had no choice. We're going, we have to play him there. We have to play him there. We got no choice. We had no one else to come in. I think you told me that there was at one stage where you couldn't even think of a player in our seconds that would slot into our side, and that was a big issue. And now all of a sudden we're going, we got Marchbank, where we're going to put him, still Paddy Dow, O'Brien, Stocker, We got Kemp. Where are we going to play Kemp? Oh, he should be a midfielder. Yeah, let's try him in defence and get him ready, mate. This is a good problem to have, really good problem to have.
It's a problem that we want to have throughout the year. We want to be like saying, why isn't Dow in the side because he's had 2 30-touch games? Yep. Why isn't SPS in the side because he's just killed it in the VFL? We want them problems because, like we say, I remember 2018 doing the best 22, and you'd write 14 names down, and then you were just throwing darts.
Just struggle for that last 4.
You know what I mean? Like, you'd put players in, and you'd be like, I wish I didn't have to put this guy in. And I think we're in a good position where I'd say there's 25, 30 blokes that are pushing for that 22nd spot. What we want as a football club.
100%, man. It's worked out good, yeah. So, no, it's looking good. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with those inclusions as the coaches coming in. I reckon they're going to be good. So, pretty much set.
And talking about big booming foots, we had a big booming foot on last week, didn't we, in Wayne Harms?
Yeah, that was a great interview. Yeah, that was quite amazing. I'm telling you, it was pretty much a privilege. Wayne Harms doesn't really do interviews, so he doesn't like it. And it's not that he doesn't like talking about footy. He likes talking about footy. He just doesn't like being asked the same questions every single time, and everyone's probably was waiting to see what he said about the 79 grand final. Was it in and out? Well, if you want to know, just have a look at the 1,000 videos there are on YouTube and you can find out. He just 40 years have been asked the same question. So it was a privilege to get him on. And you could see when you just got him going, he just loved talking about the games. And his insights were pretty phenomenal, some of those rule changes. And they're probably obvious. They were hitting us in the face and you still don't, you don't even notice it until someone with some sort of like stature goes, listen, I've played the game. This is how it should be, and it made sense, a lot of it.
I think it was a very good interview. 10 minutes we were allocated. We got about 2 hours of footage, which was amazing. So big shout out to Wayne for bestowing us with his time. And like you say, he doesn't do interviews. And I thought it was interesting to hear an ex-player. Like for me, when I watch these interviews, and every time we get a guy on the show, I'm there researching interviews he's done in the past, and they are kind of replayed. It's kind of like see the same interview, where that's what I liked about it, getting him to open up and tell us his hopes, his dreams, his thoughts. And I thought some of them rule changes, particularly the 30-meter kicking distance.
That's the one.
I'm all about that. I think that would, to me, it's an obvious rule. Once he said it, I'm thinking, it opens the game up. It makes it tougher to retain possession. You're probably going to get more goals. Why isn't it tried?
Yeah, I don't understand why it's tried. And to tell you the truth, I've thought about it before that. I always thought, like, it's just too... Like, before that, it was like, it's now 20. I think before that, it was either 10 or 15, Like, you think about it, it's ridiculous. And Wayne was right, man. Like, you can handball, like, 20 metres, but yet your kicking distance is 20 metres, like it's ridiculous. And if you do it that 30 metre, you're absolutely right, man. You're going to have to kick that ball to a contest. There's no more of that little pass, which now at this moment, what is it now? Is it 15 or 20? I don't even know.
Yeah, 15, not 15, All
right, 15. So, and don't tell me half the time those kicks aren't like 10 metres.
Oh, some of them are dubious, aren't they?
They're ridiculous. Well, you sit there and you go, mate, there's no way that's like 10 to 15 metres, and then they pay it, And then sometimes I reckon they're like 20 and they go and play on. So anyway, that's another discussion. But yeah, if you make it 30, you haven't got that issue anymore. You know what I mean? You've got to kick that ball down the line. There's no more kicking 10 metres behind you, trying to save it, So I reckon it's a great rule, man, and I don't understand why they don't do it.
Oh, no, I'm with you. I know when we mentioned as well, we're talking to Wayne Harms, I said that I'd like to see a ban on kicks behind as well being paid a mark. I come from a soccer heritage, so holding the game up is been part of our game for like 30, 40 years of slowing the game down, and it's something that you hate to see as a fan because you want to see teams fight till the death, regardless of the score, and be honest. And I think there is something that needs to be done because I feel like Gillian makes rules that are counterproductive of what he wants to get out of the game. Like, he says he wants to speed it up, but then he makes more complexities
That's
to a
right.
rule that already slows it down. So I think Wayne Harms and players like that, I would have thought if I had a rule panel, I'd want players from the 80s and 90s on the rule panel, because I'd be like, you guys played the game when it was fast and goal heavy.
Yep.
You guys see today's game. What would you think would bring that back?
Yep. And man, you're 100% right, man. Why aren't they speaking to these people? And I think I said it too. I went, they're trying to bring the game back to the 80s, practically, aren't they? They want less high scoring. They want contests. Because at the end of the day, man, I want to see contest. That's what I want to see. You know what I mean? And we're kind of losing that with this little kick to kick, you know, like we're losing that contest because it's about keeping the ball off the opposition's hand, you know. And actually, they're starting to turn the people around, because a lot of times you're watching the game and you're going, oh, why did he kick it? You could see there was a contest there, you know. You're kind of like getting sucked into this too, where the best part was those contests in the 80s. So they're trying to bring it back to the 80s, I think, when we were already there. Like, what are we doing? Why we went all the way one way, now we're just trying to get it back, you know what I mean? So that'll definitely help. Like, that'd be one rule, but who's listening? Are you listening, people? Are you listening, guys, mate? Listen to us, mate. Like, let's move this kick to 30 metres, mate. It's not a massive change, and I reckon it'll change the game dramatically. And that kicking back, I used to be against that, but I agree, man. And would you do it like, what about forward of 50 then? Would you still have the kicking back no mark, or?
Yeah, I'd have it all around the ground, you know. So
you couldn't kick from, just say you're on the boundary and you couldn't kick like 20 metres into the middle of the goal. Like that I think might be too much of a change. I don't know.
I just think it's encouraging players to work on their kicking art. So if I'm in the pocket and you see some players, they go to, like, say, centre-half forward and think, right, I'll give it to someone in front of the goals a bit further out. It's an easier shot. I think it's going to encourage players to have them X-factor moments. Like Gillian used the word dusty moments.
Yeah.
Well, what about creating some Jack Noons moments? You know, wouldn't that be great? You know, the clock siren goes and you're 20 metres on an angle and you've got to take it. All of a sudden, you know, you've got 10 seconds left on the clock. You've got to take it, because if you kick it, it's play on. Yeah. So there's no mark there. You've got to go. So I think it would, to me, create them Dustin Martin moments. It's going to get a wave of kids as well, because I think rule changes, like particularly golf, like my background, I've seen big rule changes, and I've seen a decade later, the kids coming through the system exploit the rule changes. So what these rule changes were designed for, you've now got a generation of kids playing professional sport with that rule change in mind.
Yeah.
And so I think 10 years from now, if you made that today, 2030, we're going to have elite kicks all around, because it's going to be suddenly, if you can kick 30 metres accurately, you're important.
Yeah. No, look, it makes a good point. And as I said, I've liked that rule change, you know, and definitely the 30. So those two rule changes, if we were on the rule committee, they'd be in now. Next year, mate, there'll be like 30 metres kicks, there'll be contests, and the whole game would be, I think, a lot better for it. But, yeah, so definitely like what Wayne Harms is saying, he makes some good points about the game. He's he's right up to it. Like, I really didn't think, like, he just says he won't pay to go and watch a game. You know, that 30 goals, what was it, $30? You should be getting 30 goals. You know, like, it makes sense, you know what I mean? Because you're right. I know as a Carlton supporter, if you go to a game, all you want is Carlton to win, of course. That's what we want at the end of the day. But if it's 6 goals to 4, I can't even watch the replay. Like, I watch the replay because at the end of the day, when you watch a replay, I know we watch it to see, we want to analyse it a little bit because we're more into it. But when you watch a replay, I want to see goals. And sometimes, I'll tell you the truth, like, just say I'll give you an example. You remember the Geelong game?
Yeah.
I can watch it up to 3/4 time. And then I don't want to watch the last quarter. Even though we won, it's like all it is Geelong, we're not kicking any goals. I don't want to know, man. Like, I want to see us kick goals, you know. So he's absolutely right, man. We want goals.
Oh, no, I'm with you. I mean, it's funny because actually a couple of my Pom mates, I was watching some videos with them for my other channel, and I was watching the State of Origin game that was this year. And they were mesmerised because obviously the players were more focused about injuries. It was right before the season, and it was just a goal fest. It was just, it was football at its purest. You know, it was pure attack, very little defence. And they were in amazement. They were like, this is the greatest game ever, because one of them had never heard of AFL football. He'd seen me talk about it, but it was the first time he's physically sat down and watched it. And he was like, this is amazing, man. Like, he was like, his words were, I wouldn't support a side. I'd just support the game, because he was like, if all the games are like this is the best sport on the planet.
You can't lose, can you? That's right. You can't lose. No, 100%. Yeah. So, no, you're 100%, man. And you're right. I didn't think about that. With that State of Origin, right, because of the injuries and that, like, it's purely attack, you know what I mean? And I suppose if everyone just does a little bit of a thing here and they write down what they want to see in a game, I guarantee it's running, it's marking, I guarantee it's contests, and I guarantee it's goals. It's simple. No one's going to write, I want to see 10-metre kicks back and forth. No one's going to write that, you know, so...
I think the 30-metre rule as well would encourage players like Sard, because you think if you're defensive, you're thinking, I've got to defend a 30-metre kick. But Sard then would be even more important, because he's suddenly got 30 metres potentially of space to run into, which your players like Gear and Mears, your players like Dangerfield that like to take off, suddenly that is giving them that added benefit of, I can run this as well and put a bit of pressure on.
100%.
And I mean, to me, I think the best part of football is the running bounce. I love to see guys just take off.
How good is that when you see them just take off and running and into an open space and they're taking bounces, man? It's the best, man. And then, and that was so there's that point there. And then you come up with the other point too, like, let's get the ball into the forward line. Like, let's get it quickly into the forward line, man. And especially for Carlton, man, we're going to have, like, I believe McKay's going to be our best forward at the end of the day. Like, I really have big raps on McKay. So you got McKay there, right? And then you're going to have Curnow, because Curnow will be back, don't worry. We're going to have Curnow. Why don't we get that ball quickly into that forward line, man, and do those one-on-one contests, man? Because I think it's going to help us heaps,
No, I'm with you. And I implore anyone who's watching this now to go and watch the goals Harry kicked last year. And particularly towards the back end of the year, where he was up there with the best key forwards in the competition. When we move it fast and he's isolated, very few people can go one-on-one with him. He's got Gary Ablett Senior vibes about him, that it takes two blokes to stop the guy. He's got an uncanny knack of, all you've got to do is kick it out in front of him, and he will ping that mark. And I think that structure is what Carlton are going back. And going back to our early points, we've done really well today of going back to points.
Yeah, that's it. That's all
effort. But if we go back to, like, talking about why SPS is down the back, about his kicking, I think that is it. The quicker we move the ball, everything falls into place. And I don't know whether that's because we're young and we're kind of unsure, or if it's because we have a lack of run ability. But it does seem to look better. The quicker we get it there, the quicker we kick goals.
100%, man. I've always said I don't understand this and this, like, fucking around back and forth. The forwards don't know what's going on, man. The ball's not getting up there. Like, I'm telling you, man, with this new rule, especially the one where on the mark, and then, you know, they can't go laterally, I think, you know, and then you got Sard running, and then if we kick that ball long, and then we're coming up to McKay and then I think even McGovern might step up, you know what I mean? If they're playing well, you know, him as that third forward will definitely, I think I'm his biggest, like, critic, you know, so, but I think it's going to help him heaps out too,
Oh, I think if the forward line fires, McGovern's going to be the forgotten man, particularly in defence. And I think when Harry's on, you saw it against Adelaide, that the centre-half back and the full-back start to be drawn to him.
Yes.
Like, you can see that it's almost like they're kind of scared, so they naturally have got one eye on what Harry's doing. which frees up space for your Kernos, frees up space for your Mitch McGoverns. And I think Mitch might be that guy that suddenly finds himself 40 out with a midget on him. And that is what we want.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think it's going to be big. It's going to be big. And Harry, he looks good so far this year, doesn't he? I've seen some footage of him and some stuff, and he's looking like he's prime and ready to rock and roll this year, man. And he finished strong last year. Everyone, like 7 goals in the last 2 games or something. So he finished strong. So I think his confidence is going to be way up. And I think he did take maybe Kerno not being there, kind of like that responsibility. Well, now I'm the main forward, you know what I mean? So hopefully that helps him to elevate to that number one. He should be our number one forward. That's it, He should be our Lynch, our Kennedy. He's got to be that next year. He's been there, 4 years? He has to be next year.
Well, I think Charlie, ever since he's come, he's always been billed, and he as the White Hawk, the poster boy. His development is Carlton's success, and they are twins. They're not separate.
Yeah.
And I think even the pundits put a lot of focus on Charlie Kerno, and he is going to be the reason why we win or lose. So I think if I was Harry, if I was Mitch, I'd definitely be now thinking, I've got an opportunity to be the Great White Hope. I've got the chance to say, you don't need Charlie, you've got me. You don't need him. I am it. He's a benefit. I'm the main man. And I think if you look at Harry as well, everyone go and check out the videos he's uploading on his Insta. He's looking in shape. He's doing the right things. He's adding pace to his game. I mean, imagine if he can increase his speed, because he's already fairly
one of our quickest. So imagine you're right. He's already one of our quickest. So imagine, him with a bit of speed and some confidence up there. He's going to be unstoppable up the front there, especially if we can deliver that ball quickly and directly to him, So, man, it's a bit dangerous times for defences out there.
And I think as well, and this leads me on to my next point quite beautifully, is I think if you look at our best 18, I think no one can say that's not a top 8 side. I mean, I look at it, and because, I've probably done too many tequilas when I was a kid, it's a top 4 side. But I think we're going into a draft that's coming up with something we've never had before. We're not drafting for desperation. We're not drafting for Jesus fix the list. Yeah. We're drafting now for the first time with kind of a selfish child at Christmas approach. It's what we want.
Yes.
And whatever we get, and if it works, it's a bonus.
Yep.
But this kid, whoever comes in, has no pressure on him because it doesn't matter. You don't have to be the best player this year.
Yep. So, and that's going to make a huge difference. I've said this before, right? We were playing kids like Dow, O'Brien, and we were playing them in the first for 20-odd games when they shouldn't have been playing. There's no way a Richmond and that would ever do that to their kids, man. I don't know the names of their kids, but I'm pretty sure my mate was telling me there were kids who played in the reserves like for 3 years and couldn't get a senior game, and we're getting them out, and everyone's going, oh, that's good, we're getting our players out there, giving them game time. But it could be actually damaging to them to get them out there so early, you know what I mean, and putting that sort of pressure. Their confidence is going to go down. Imagine you as a kid, you go out there, right, and all of a sudden, you're getting a senior game, right, but you're getting smashed every week. What's happening to your confidence? Man, you want to slowly build it. So you're right. Our first 18 to 22 now it's a good side, man. I don't know if I'm looking at it through rose-coloured glasses, but I'm telling you, man, if they do what they have to do, right, and they improve this year by that 5%, right, and they go out there and they make sure that every training session matters, mate. They make sure they're not beaten in anything. That 22 is a top 8 side, and the next set of players are going to be fighting for those positions. The Murphys and that, they're not guaranteed any more spots, you know what I mean? The Dows and that are gonna get a chance to get their confidence up in the reserves, and then maybe, and once they slip into that side, they could do what like a Richmond does, at those plays, they get in and all of a sudden they've picked up 24 possessions. The player they've replaced is thinking, am I going to get back into the side? That's exactly what's going to be happening, I think.
Oh, no, definitely, you're right. And I've got a few Richmond mates. I mean, I know last year they're talking about Thompson Dow. We know if anyone watched the draft previews last year, I was a big fan of Thompson Dow.
Yeah.
And he was killing it in their little reserve games this year. And there was a lot of talk of why is he not playing? And a few of my Richmond mates were like, why is he not playing, man? He's killing it. He could add something. Presti is out. He could come in and do something. And he only got a token game at the end of the season. And that's what we want.
Yes.
Because, like, we know that I'm hot on the moment at Caleb Poulter. I love the bloke. And, like, it would be brilliant to draft him, a guy that's played inside mid, outside mid. He's played down the back. He's played forward, high half forward.
Yeah.
And groom him. And give him token games. You know, be able to say, right, finals is cemented round 18. Round 19, off you go, kid. Show us what you're about.
And that's the same, I suppose, with like Kemp, because he's our first year player, really, because he had done nothing this year because of injuries. But he's another one. Everyone's got these big raps in him, but we want him to earn his spot and get a game somewhere near the end of the season and see what he's all about, you know, and learn his craft there in the reserves, and wherever it is. And you're right, it's probably a good place for him to start his defence, you know what I mean? Learn his craft back there, yeah.
Oh, definitely. I think now the time has come that you earn the right to wear our Guernsey. Yeah. Something that I'm sure is music to your ears. It's something you drummed into us all 2020, the year of Earn the Guernsey. And I think now they're earning it. Like now suddenly there's no spot on our list that says, shit, we need someone. You're the best available. Now it is, I'm knocking down the door of that 18.
Yeah. That's what's got to happen, man. I'm telling you, it's all about that passion, man. It's all about, like, once you wear that Guernsey, I mean, you know me, man, I don't even wear the Guernsey as a supporter, because I don't think I deserve to wear that Guernsey, you know what I mean? Unless you're a kid or you're a woman, you don't wear the Guernsey. But that, I don't want to offend anyone. If you're a bloke and you wear Guernseys out there, good on you. If you wear,
I always wear them.
Yeah, I know you do. That's why I'm saying it. And even the people that put on, you know, like face colouring, it's up to you. I think unless you're under 10 years old, you do not put paint on your face. But anyway, that's just me. But you got to earn your Guernsey, man. Once you get that Guernsey, it has to mean something. You know what I mean? Like, and like that jumper means everything to us, you know what I mean, and to the team. And once you get it, it can't be like a token. You're just going to get that Guernsey and go, oh yeah, whatever. Like, I wouldn't even let them wear it during training. That's how hard I would be on them. Like, a Guernsey should be game day, man. It should mean everything to you, you know what I mean?
It should be sacred. No, I agree with you. And I think we're hoping to see that. Like, for me, a successful year this year would be top 8. And it would be us having a conversation of why is Murphy not retired yet? I think now someone should be looking at Murphy and looking at Eddie Betts and thinking, I'm retiring you. And I want that conversation. I want, when we win a flag and after the 6-month hangover, we'll probably have a week to make content because I've been drunk so much. I want to be saying, how the hell is Betts still there and how the hell was Murphy there? I want some kid to step up. And if that's Josh Honey, if that's Paddy Dow, if that's Lockie O'Brien, I want someone to say, come on, mate, time to go. I'm here now. This is my spot. Thanks very much for your service. Go to the VFL, coach for us. I'm the big man on campus.
100%, man. That will only make our side better. That will only make our side better, you know. If Murphy can't get a game, man, that's only going to... Because if Murphy can't get a game, at the moment, he's our 22, and so is Eddie Betts, and so they should be at the moment, right? They're in our 22, correct? Right? So now we've got to be thinking, like, if they can't get a game, who is going to be the one replacing them? Who will be replacing them? You know what I mean? Is it in Eddie Betts? Is it like we said, Fogarty, or is it Honey, or is it, you know, like in the centre, is it Dow, is it O'Brien, you know, is it one of them? That's the conversation we should be having, you know.
And I think what's exciting is I believe someone will. And I think the wonderful thing about Mark Murphy and Eddie Betts is they want to as well. I think that's how they'd want to go out. They wouldn't want to go out because they're too old. They'd want to be able to go out on their terms and say, you know what? I've worked so hard for this club. I can hand it over to you, mate, because you're me. You're me 10 years ago.
Yep.
And do me a favour, train the next bloke. Train the next bloke and serve this jersey well. And I think it's going to happen. I really do believe it is. And I think with the VFL programme now, and it's all ours, Mark Murphy and Betts, wouldn't it be great for Murphy to be in the reserves, the VFL, as a player maybe next year? Keep him on, and he's playing there and he's training the next crop about what it takes. Hands on. This is what it's about. Eddie Betts 100%. There being a kicking coach or something. And that is how we build a Richmond. We build that dynasty because we're getting out. And I think we got lucky with Cruiser and Simpson. And to me, that would be Austin's worry. If I was Austin, we had no replacement for Cruiser. Everyone said CDK 2022, 2021. We got lucky that he was ready. Simpson, we got lucky that Essendon are run like a dodgy takeaway shop. And we could get him for, we could get him. And we're lucky. We got lucky because the facts are, if Cade had retired, SPS is still a trial. Do you know what I mean? SPS is still an unknown. Nick Newman's an unknown of how he'll come back on the injury.
We keep forgetting about like Newman's there.
We got lucky. So let's not do it again. Let's not hope Eddie Betts retires next year and Josh Honey miraculously becomes a good player. Let's hope Murphy doesn't damage his leg and has to retire, and we're hoping Dow can do it. Let's have them do it so we can retire them.
Yeah, I think so. Well, talking about the draft, I had a question by one of my friends yesterday about the draft, right? And since you're the expert on the draft, right, let's go over quickly about this, like the father and son and the academy players and that. I don't think a lot of people understand how that works because we're at the moment got pick 31 and 38, you know, but now there's these academy. First of all, let's explain how the academy works. Why are teams getting these players? What's going on?
Well, so everyone's allocated an area, a bit like the olden days that we heard Wayne Hams talk about. And they're allowed to train the top young talent and basically have dibs on them. So they're technically contracted players, if you look at it that way. They're on. So if we take someone like Hagen, who's meant to be the #1 pick, or he'll be thereabouts, Ugle Hagen, he's tied to the Doggies. So what that means is they have the option, should a bid come in before their pick, they can match it, and they effectively owe what they lack. So at the moment, the Doggies have been very smart. They've got a plethora of mid-range picks, which potentially they'll just lose them all and then probably owe a bit. If you look at Fremantle, they did it last year because Sauce decided to go crazy on Fremantle NGAs and make them bid for them. And they now paid the punishment. Now, this is the last year this will exist as well. So that's exciting. But where this affects us is 17 of the top 50 are expected to be NGAs. So potentially 31 could be 27. It could work out that way because there's a lot of talk. A lot of these clubs, like Doggies, there's rumours that they'll be one and done. They'll do their bid and that'll be it. There's rumours that Richmond, there's rumours that Hawthorn are looking at one and done as well. So all these teams potentially could help Carlton out, particularly if Essendon went crazy and started bidding on NGAs, which potentially...
You think they should do?
Yeah, well, potentially at pick 6, they could think, we've got 7 or 8 to get the guys we want. Why don't we start throwing a few cheeky bids at players? So it's going to be a really intriguing process. It is being scrapped, though, as of next year, which I think it should be. I don't like it because a lot of clubs, GWS, Sydney, they have got such a good catchment area, and it's been shown in how they have drafted so well from it.
So it will be scrapped this year, so no more next year. So then it'll be just like a normal draft next year.
Yeah, so next year, the only thing that'll stay is the father and son, which I don't think will ever go. I think it's... heritage-wise, I think it's very romantic, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's good that it's going because I can't remember Carlton ever having one of these players. Have we ever picked up one of these?
From memory, I don't think we've ever picked an NG. I don't think it's come through because we've got the Sorrento area.
Nah, so it's a stupid rule. Let's get rid of it. If we're not picking up anyone, let's get rid of it, mate.
It's a weird one as well because we actually hand chose that area. So,
Sorrento.
so we actually hand chose that area. So when people complain about it, we actually took that area.
Yeah, you'd think you'd go. Like, didn't we really do well with the Ballarat area? Was it Bendigo, Ballarat?
Yeah, Bendigo. I think there's something romantic about being able to do it. I'd like to see an NGA exist, but Victorian teams allocated certain areas in Victoria, and they're allowed to nominate one player.
Yep.
So they could guarantee one player. And I think that would make it a fairer system. But I think that the system should be they have to be able to have the draft picks this year.
Yeah.
They can't owe it.
Yeah.
It has to be this year, and maybe have a mini draft in the terms of, say, if Carlton, let's just say, if Adelaide wanted Youghal Hagan, they say, right, pick one. We think Youghal Hagan's ours.
Yeah.
Doggies say, well, we don't have enough currency. There's a mini trade period that they can throw in a player to get that. And I think that would then even the draft out even more. That a team that needs pick one, which Adelaide desperately need pick one, and Youghal Hagan, I think, is perfect for them. It'd be great if they could say, well, okay, we want him.
Yeah.
Okay, you owe us maybe, say, a pick worth 10.
Yeah.
They then throw in a player and say, well, okay, what about Lockie Hunter? And make them break up what they have to match the bid. Because I think at the moment, it's kind of a free hit. If I'm Doggies, I've effectively got pick one for finishing in finals, which for me is mind-boggling.
I know, it is mind-boggling. So with the point systems, so just so everyone understands this, so they're going to, if each position in the draft is worth so many points, correct? So if they pick him up at pick whatever pick it is, it's worth 3,000 points, whatever, and they match it, then what the Doggies have to do is give up enough draft picks to make up those points. Is that correct?
Yes, they've got to allocate what is called the same value. So they work off what's called a pick calculator. Yeah. So obviously the top pick in the draft, number one, that's worth 3,000 points. So to put it in perspective, their first pick from memory is 29, just before Carlton, 2 picks before. So that's worth 650.
Okay.
So basically, if you look at their picks, they've got 29, 33, and 41. And then I think, and then 50 and 54, 52, 54. So that won't be far off all their picks.
Okay.
I'd say if I'm guessing, I would say that would be very close to
the 3,000.
I'd say they would probably maybe maxed out and push back in the draft next year by whatever points are remaining. I've just done the calculator. They're 800 short.
All right. So that's for pick one, is it?
Yeah. So,
if Adelaide like choose to pick that player, they would have to use up all their draft, all their picks to add up, and then they'll still be a little bit short, so they'll be minus next year or something, yeah?
Yeah, so to put it in perspective, let's say they had pick 15 next year, they'd be pushed back to like pick 22. Owing 800. So that's why I'd like to see a rule of saying Adelaide say, well, okay, we want Hagan, you owe us 800.
Yeah.
You owe us 800 points.
Yes.
So, and make it a trade. Make it a trade in the draft. So and I think it stops a lot of players just being taken for the sake of it, really. I think it would make you if you're investing time into these kids, makes you say, I value them today.
Yeah, that's good. All right, that's good. I think that cleared a lot of things up for people. And well, then let's just we might as well just finish off with, so I know you've gone this over with Terry and that, but so we've got our draft picks here. That's what's the most important thing here. Let's be serious. I don't care about the Doggies' first pick. He's rubbish anyway, that player, right? We're going to be worried about this pick 31. What do you think we're going to be doing there? Just one or two players who you think we can get and who we should or we probably will get, yeah?
Well, I mean, I'd really like Poulter.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him. He may be there before. He's kind of fluctuating from somewhere in the second round. Obviously, we're a late second rounder, 31. Potentially that pick could be 29, and you could argue he may be there. There may be other options. But interesting scenario, 31 and 38 by the AFL draft calculator is pick 16. So we could potentially be looking at sides like maybe GWS that have 10, 13, 15 and 20 and maybe jumping up to 20.
Yeah.
And taking another later pick.
All right. So that
like that.
So now you're saying like swap those picks for an earlier pick. When would that be done? Is that done?
That would be live. So if you remember last year, we did the same with Kemp. We moved down the order. So it could be something that Carlton do in that avenue that we actually look to trade it. And if a player that we're looking at, like a Poulter, Durden's another one that's been mentioned to Carlton that is in the draft video that you should have seen, but no one has now. But you should have seen it by now. He's another guy that we mentioned. So Carlton could look at it that way. I wouldn't be opposed to it, and I'll tell you why. Because we could fill our rookie spot. There's a lot of young players that are going to go undrafted. There's a lot of mature age players that won't be drafted that we could rookie list. So we could rookie list players, which then next year gives us the benefit of upgrading these players and not conforming to the minimum free pick rule, which this year's been removed. It's just one, but next year we'll be back in force. So could be something Carlton look at of loading up on rookies. Instead of just getting the one player you want. So if you got a Poulter and you think, okay, guy's an inside beast, can play outside, loves high half forward, really enjoys it. You could think, well, we've got the guy we want. Maybe take Charlie Mackay, pick 78, and then let's rookie list a couple of guys and see what they do. Dangle the carrot of first team football and a proper contract next year. Kennedy's there on the rookie list as well. Remember that one we could upgrade next year. And jobs are good. Pom plan.
What was that?
I said the Pom plan.
The Pom plan. All right, tell me something. You say that we upgrade to a lower pick. Why would a team why would the team want to give up pick 20 for 31 and 38? Let's say why?
Well, for someone in GWS's case, they've got 3 picks before that. So they might be thinking, well, you know what? Business is done here. We're going to get 3 people on our list, and remember that draftees go on the senior list. So remember that this year that the lists have been cut quite dramatically in the scale of AFL realms. Now, if you look at GWS, they're currently on 30 players, so they haven't got a lot of wiggle room. So you think that they could take 3 players, that's 33. They've got 4 on the rookie list already. They're right on the brink of capacity. So for GWS, they could be like, well, business is done here. We've got who we want. Carlton are offering us 2 later picks. There's a lot of small forwards. There's a lot of project players. We're quite happy to take a project player. And they could do that. Carlton could even maybe do something left field and back themselves in the terms of that they're happy to burn a future pick. And they could do it now. So Carlton might think, well, you know what about a future second and move up straight away, sell the draft next year. The draft is impressive next year, but I don't think Carlton will be looking at that. I don't think if I'm Nick Austin, I'm looking at the draft next year and I'm looking at my first rounder might go towards a player.
I'm with you, man. I think now is the time, isn't it? What's our theme? It's the now, the now, man. That's what it's all about. So if we can do something now, I think we do it, man. Because we're primed to attack. I think we're primed to attack. So that's good, man. That's good that you explained that. That's good. That definitely helps a lot of people out. I already knew, so don't worry about me. It's for everyone out there, right?
Rocco's a man of many talents. Never doubt Rocco's knowledge. Hey.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good. So that's on the 9th, isn't it?
It is, Wednesday. So get a beer, sit down.
And is it Wednesday night? What's
I
happening?
believe it's afternoon. Yeah, I think it's for some reason I want to say 3 o'clock.
Yep. And is it like going to be telecast or what's
Yeah,
going
it's
on
going to be on
there?
the AFL app, and they should complete the talk is they'll complete it all in a day this year,
All
and then
right.
the rookie draft will follow the next day. So could be quite quick.
All
And
right.
they're
That's good.
predicting
That's
only
good.
55 picks being taken. So a lot of teams have indicated they'll take one and do and just walk away.
All right.
So it could be a huge,
That's
huge
going to
night
be
for
good.
Carlton.
And we're going to be, and Blue Abroad's going to be all over it. So we're going to
We
keep
will
everyone
be, as
up to date.
always. If it involves draft picks, we know that Pom's somewhere in the
Yeah.
wings, getting excited.
Yeah, no, 100%. And if anyone hasn't seen the videos been coming out, I recommend you quickly get onto them because, yeah, Pom and Terry have been right on this, man, and getting everyone right up to speed. So it's been really good.
Well, we got 2 selections right last year, which I was super
Yeah,
proud
yeah,
of.
that's right. I saw
I'm
that.
trying to aim this year for 3, and I think
Yeah.
that would be a jewel in the crown with no junior football. I might retire if I get 3.
I'm
Might
telling you,
retire, like
mate.
hang it up.
Someone's listening. Someone's listening. They're taking the credit, but someone's listening out there that's making the decisions.
Let's hope so. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on if these players don't perform because people will remember it was Pom.
Hey, but you've got to put yourself out there, mate, and you do that, and that's it, man. And this is what the team should be like, man. We've got to put ourselves out there now. What do we want? We want finals. I want everyone to go out there. I want the team to be out there and saying, that's it. There's no second place, man. If we finish outside of the 8 this year, next year, that's it. We are a complete failure. We're a bunch of losers, right? And we shouldn't even be in the AFL. I'm telling you, we have to put that sort of pressure, just like Pommy has. I think the team has to do the same, man. That's it.
Oh, 100%. And for the audience, and I'll ask you this, Rocco, before we finish, what do you want in the draft, position-wise? What are you looking out for? If you could add someone, what style of player, what position are we thinking?
Listen, I still think we need that small forward. I'm still not happy with the small forwards, like we got Eddie Betts, but, like really, we're expecting a lot from a 58-year-old person there. So, and then we got Fogarty maybe, but it'd be nice to get like an established small and a true small forward, like we're moving in these mids and making them small forwards, and that like Gibbons is one, for example, he should be playing in the middle, Fisher I think is going to maybe, but I don't know, man, is he a true small? So to me it would be, to answer your question quickly, I would love a true small forward. Yeah. So
I'd agree with you. I think definitely for me, I'd like to see either a mid forward in purely for a Kerner replacement, medium-sized forward, or just as a bit of backup and a bit of coverage, gives us options. That's why I like Poulter, because he can play midfield. That is where he comes from.
yeah.
So you've always got that backup. He's bigger bodied. He could help Cripps in time to come. But I think a small forward, like a genuine little crafty.
Of course.
There's a few out there as well. We've covered a few, so surely I think.
Because really, the rest of it is, as I said, like the back line, we're happy with. I mean, we've got how many are going to be running for the back line, apparently. And the midfield, I think, is building nicely. The ruck's working out. The big forwards are there. So if you think about it, if you had a wish list, you would get like who was that Sydney player? I forgot about him. That's how much I care about him. Who was that we were going for 2 years ago? We missed out on the Sydney forward there, the Sydney player. What was his name? The one we missed out on with
Tom Papley.
Yeah, Papley. Fuck. See how
Sorry,
much...
I've put it to the back of my head.
That's what I'm thinking. Like I forgot about him because he's nothing now. But that's what you. I think that's what we're lacking now. If we can get that one more small forward, I think we're set, man. Like that's it. We're ready to rock and roll, man.
Well, I said it last week. You don't need Tom Papley when you've got a fish.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully, yeah. So the 9th will be Wednesday. We'll be glued to Blue Abroad and everything, and see what's happening. And hopefully, we get our picks that we want, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Well, we've got before we finish up, we have got a couple of special guests coming up. I've snared a magical guest for you, Rocco, in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We're also going to throw a little curveball. We're going to throw it out to the fans. I thought we hear a lot from some of the players.
Yep.
We would love some special guests from the audience as well, where we can analyse and press you to show us how passionate you are. Because we know I'm here with the legend of passion, Rocco.
That's it.
So
you know who I would like, since you're putting it out there, that's correct. We definitely want some passion. So if you message us and that, and we can get back to you, someone from the cheer squad would be great. So I know you're listening out there. If there's someone out there, we would love to hear what it takes to be in the cheer squad and what kind of like commitment you've got to be in the cheer squad, because I think you people in the cheer squad, man, you're beyond even my commitment. It's amazing what you guys do. So yeah, that would be good.
They do a big job as well. A lot of volunteer hours go into that, and
massive.
I've sat down and had a coffee with Nick Wishart, who's everyone knows him, massive in the cheer squad, and I'll tell you what, the effort he does spare time wise is insane.
It is, man. That's it, and that's what we need from everyone in the blue family, man. That's what we need from the boot stutter. I don't even know who a boot stutter is, right? I don't even know they exist anymore.
I don't even think they have them anymore, do they? They're all mold.
No, it's just some old bloke, I think, that just like cleans the mud off the bottom of the boots. But yeah, from the boot starter to the cheer squad to the people doing videos. Yeah, so that's it. We need commitment from everyone.
I'm glad the way you threw us in there just at the end.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we're important, aren't we? We're important now. We're trying to get everyone together. Like we were saying that there is a bit of divide between the old Carlton supporters and the new Carlton supporters, because there's success and they haven't felt success, and we're trying to unite everyone together. And I'm telling you, man, just like unions, right, man, as long as you're united and everyone sticks together, man, you can conquer the world, man. But as soon as you get divided and everyone starts going in their opposite directions and everyone starts complaining and that, man, I'm telling you, you're going to get nowhere. But if everyone can unite, because as much as the players go out there and do their bit, man, everyone else underneath it, trust me, it's, what do they say? It takes a village to raise a child, you know? Like, is that an old saying? Well, it takes a whole community to win a premiership. So let's do it, people.
Let's do it. And I think on them words, we'll catch you later. Go Blues.
Thanks, guys. See you guys.